What if the place you call home turns out to be your worst nightmare? Imagine living in a house that's not just bricks and mortar, but a sinister entity with a mind of its own. The mere thought sends a shiver down your spine, doesn't it? A dwelling that whispers in the dead of night, shadows that play tricks on your mind, and a chilling presence that never quite leaves. Tonight, we delve into 3 true stories of haunted houses that will make your skin crawl. Our first tale takes us to a quaint house in New England, where the walls don't just talk, they whisper. In the heart of this idyllic region, a family of 4 moved into a charming yet aged house, drawn to its rustic charm and tranquil surroundings. But tranquility soon gave way to an eerie sense of unease as they began to notice something peculiar. The walls of their new home seemed to whisper. At first, they dismissed these whispers as the house settling, the creaks and groans of an old building, but soon the whispers became more frequent, more distinct. The whispers weren't just random sounds anymore, they were voices, low and raspy, uttering phrases that chilled the blood and made sleep an elusive luxury. The family was unnerved, but they tried to rationalize it away, blaming it on the wind, the pipes, anything but the unthinkable. But then, the unthinkable happened. The whispers grew sinister, predicting events before they happened. A broken dish, a lost job, a car accident. Every prediction whispered into the silence of the night came true the next day. The family was terrorized, their quaint house transformed into a living nightmare. Desperate, they called in paranormal investigators who confirmed their worst fears. The house was haunted, the voices were those of the departed, bound to the house by some unspeakable tragedy. They tried exorcisms, cleansing rituals, anything that might release the spirits from their dwelling. But nothing worked. The whispers continued, growing more malevolent with each passing day. In the end, the family had to abandon their home, driven out by the relentless whispers. They left behind a house still filled with their belongings, the echoes of their laughter, and the whispers of the walls. Today, the house stands empty, a chilling reminder of the family that used to live there. The whispers still echo in the house, reminding anyone who dares to enter of its haunted past. In the heart of Texas, there lies a house where shadows seem to have a life of their own. Our tale centers around a couple, fresh in their love and dreams, who moved into this quaint yet somewhat eerie house. Unbeknownst to them, the house was already occupied not by the living but by shadows that danced to their own rhythm. The couple, let's call them Lucy and Jack, initially dismissed these movements as tricks of the light. They laughed it off, attributing it to their overactive imagination. But as days turned into weeks, the shadows grew bolder. They moved independently of any light source, shifting and contorting into shapes that defied logic. Soon, the laughter faded. The shadows weren't just moving anymore, they were becoming more aggressive. Lucy once woke up to find a shadowy figure looming over her, its form flickering like a candle in the wind. Jack, on the other hand, often saw shadows darting across the hallway when he was alone. The house, once filled with the warmth of their love, was now a chilling labyrinth of fear. The couple sought help from local priests, paranormal investigators, even a psychologist, but to no avail. The shadows were relentless, unaffected by prayers or scientific explanations. They seemed to feed on their fear, growing more menacing with each passing day. In the end, it became too much. The couple, once so full of life, was now drained of their vitality, their dreams replaced with nightmares. They decided to leave the house, abandoning everything they had built together. On their last night, as they hurriedly packed their belongings, the shadows swirled around them, almost as if they were celebrating their victory. But amidst the terror, Lucy and Jack found the strength to leave, to escape the house that was no longer a home. The couple escaped, but the shadows remain, lurking in the corners, waiting for the next victims. In the serene countryside of Ireland, a charming cottage hides a horrific curse. Our tale begins with a group of friends eager for a break from the hustle and bustle of city life, deciding on a quaint Irish cottage as their vacation destination. Little did they know, the seemingly tranquil abode held a dark secret, a story of horror woven into its very walls. The first few days were nothing short of idyllic. The friends reveled in the lush greenery, the tranquil silence, and the quaint charm of the cottage. But as the sun dipped below the horizon on the third evening, a chilling wind seemed to sweep through the cottage, carrying with it an eerie whisper of a long-forgotten past. It started subtly, a door creaking open, the faint rustle of leaves in a room with closed windows, the flicker of lights that couldn't be explained. They laughed it off, attributing it to the quirks of an old house. But as the days passed, The occurrences grew increasingly unnerving. One night they heard the faint sound of a lullaby seeping through the walls. Another day, they found an antique locket, warm to the touch as if recently worn, in a room that had been locked since their arrival. The atmosphere grew tense, the friends feeling an unseen presence lurking in the shadows. Then, on the seventh night, the horrifying truth revealed itself. Amidst a deafening silence, they heard the sound of a woman weeping. Following the sound, they found themselves in front of a hidden basement door. As they descended the stairs, they stumbled upon the spectral figure of a woman, trapped in an eternal cycle of grief over a tragedy that had befallen her centuries ago. The sight was enough to freeze the blood in their veins. It was a face-to-face encounter with the cottage's cursed past, a sorrowful spirit eternally bound to the dwelling. The friends fled in terror, their screams echoing through the silent countryside. The friends barely escaped with their lives, leaving the cursed cottage behind, its malevolent presence forever imprinted in their minds. Their vacation had turned into a nightmare, a chilling tale of the cottage's history that they would carry with them for the rest of their lives. The Cursed Cottage stands to this day, its walls echoing with the sorrowful lullaby, a grim reminder of the horrors that lurk beneath the surface of the serene Irish countryside. Haunted houses are not just the stuff of horror movies, they're real and they're terrifying. But what makes them truly horrifying? Let's delve into the labyrinth of the human mind, the place where fear takes root and flourishes. It's a fact that our minds are incredibly powerful, capable of shaping our reality. The dimly lit corners of an old house, the creaking of a loose floorboard, or the whispering winds through the cracks. These become elements of terror when our minds are conditioned to fear. Fear is a primal instinct, a survival mechanism that alerts us to potential danger. But it's not always grounded in reality. Often it's the product of our imagination, fueled by stories we've heard or movies we've watched. Our minds transform these harmless elements into ominous signs, creating an atmosphere of dread and suspense. Take the whispering walls, for instance. What is it but the wind finding its way through the old structure, creating a symphony of natural sounds? Yet our minds interpret these sounds as whispers from the other side, turning the harmless wind into a spectral presence. Or consider the shifting shadows. They're nothing more than the interplay of light and darkness. Yet, in a haunted house, these shadows come alive, taking on sinister forms and sparking fear in our hearts. And let's not forget the Cursed Cottage. Its history of tragedy and misfortune is indeed unsettling, but isn't it our fear, our anticipation of the unknown, that truly transforms this ordinary building into a house of terror? Our minds, with their extraordinary capacity for imagination, are the masterminds behind these haunted houses. They feed on the stories, the history, and the atmosphere, magnifying our fears and creating a reality far more terrifying than the actual one. In essence, the real horror isn't the haunted house itself, but the fear we carry within us. It's our minds that paint these ordinary houses with a brush of terror, turning them into the haunted houses we fear. In the end, it is not just the haunted houses that frighten us, but the fear we carry within ourselves. We've journeyed through whispers, shadows, and curses, witnessing the terror that a haunted house can inflict. The walls have echoed with chilling tales of the unseen. We've tread the path of shadowy figures that move when no one's around. We've felt the icy grip of a curse that refuses to let go. These stories serve as eerie reminders of how fear can inhabit places, turning a simple house into a realm of terror. Remember, the next time you find yourself alone in a house, listen closely. What you hear might just be the house trying to tell its story.